Hey everybody, it's Kary Oberbrunner. Great to be with you. I have my very special guest, Dan Miller. How you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing excellent. What a gorgeous day.
It is a beautiful day. Well, it's always fun to chat with you, and you're always up to an adventure. So give us, you're obviously coming back to the conference. Will this be your second time?
Yes.
Okay, second time, and super thrilled to have you coming. We're going to give everyone a sneak peek today about your 2020 talk, which is fascinating, how to find your genius zone. But before we get into that, let's chat just a little bit about life. And I can't imagine people your age, not you, because you and Joanne are outliers, but what does the average person your age thinking right now with all this stuff going on in the world?
Well, I know a lot of them are frightened because theoretically, me included, are in the high risk arena.
Mm.
But my goodness, I mean, risk for physical challenges is so dependent on mindset
Mm.
and attitude to keep your immune system strong. And I just am not feeling vulnerable. It's not to diminish those who have challenges where they are more vulnerable, but I pretty much, Gary, this is kind of like a running a marathon.
It is.
So you hit the 24-mile mark, and some people think, man, I'm thirsty. I'm going to stop and get a drink. So they stop and get a drink, and it makes a lot of sense. But you're thinking, wow, I've got a chance to surge ahead in this very period of time where I'm going to take advantage of other people kind of being in neutral and just move
Mm.
forward. And it,
That's interesting. That's interesting that you say that. In fact, I had a guest the other day who said he literally believes that right now is the largest opportunity for market share, um, just for people to take market share, because a lot of people are pausing or they're slow or scared, and then the fast people are just going to run. What do you think?
there you go. Exactly. Exactly. And,
Wow.
and and think about it. I mean, this is as you know, I just released the 20th anniversary edition of 48 Days to the Work You Love.
Hmm.
I talk in there about overcoming your upper limit challenge. When you
Yes.
think there's a ceiling that probably isn't really there.
Hmm.
Course, what we're going to be talking about today, I talk about in there, but I talk about digital nomads and new models of work. Now, I wrote this
Ooh,
book. I finished this book in February. The book came out, and now it looks like I was a genius in predicting
I love it.
what's happening. I mean, do you think there are some people who are kind of rethinking their work? Yeah, millions of
Absolutely.
them saying, I'm not sure I want to be as vulnerable as I obviously am. I thought I was secure, but it was just an illusion. So I'm going to take advantage of this time to really explore other possibilities. Boom, right in my sweet spot.
Wow. I love it. And people are even tuning in from Colombia right now. So, how cool is that? Great to see you, Jeff. So, here's the thing, folks. How many of you have seen Dan and Joanne at last conference? Go ahead and type in if you did. You did a fantastic talk back then. In fact, you showed us all these products that you could create from your book. Remember
Yep.
that? You held an Earl Nightingale um, record. You've been a lifelong learner. I love it. The strangest secret. Give us the quick story about that.
When I was a poor farm kid. I mean, we were really poor. I remember when we bought our first cow, one cow that we milked by hand. My dad kept adding to that. We got up to 12 cows we milked by hand every twice a day, 365 days a year. And the trajectory of my life was pretty clear. I would go because of my Mennonite Amish background, go to school till I was 16, which is what the state required. And then I would drop out and help my dad in the farm. Not because
Whoa.
I love farming. That wasn't an issue at all. Is because that's the responsible thing to do.
This was your destiny.
There
This
was
was
no
this was the destiny.
no discussion of purpose, calling, joy, fulfillment, any of that at all. You do what is responsible to do. Try not to screw up too much while we're here on earth, and then we go to heaven and things will be okay. That was pretty much, that was my life pattern. So when I was 13, I got a hold of that little audio recording. It's a 33 and a third RPM, but got a hold of that. And I would listen to that. Now, this was not welcome in my house. I hid it under my mattress in my bedroom. But I would pull that out at night and listen to it again and again and again. And here's this gravelly voiced old man, Earl Nightingale, talking about we become what we think about. That's the premise. Now, that's not totally new. I mean, we even see that in the Bible, but somehow it really struck a nerve with me. And I thought, would it be possible as a poor farm kid to change the direction of my life by controlling what I thought about, controlling what I allowed into my mind? And that became a foundational principle that continues to serve me well today, many years later. But
that was expensive back then. That record. Talk to us about that.
I called and talked to Vic Conant not that long ago.
Okay.
And asked him, what did that sell for when Dan Miller was a 13-year-old? It sold for $15, which in today's money is about $156.
So as a 13-year-old kid in a poor farming home, you said, I'm going to invest $156, which that's a lot of money. I got a few 13-year-olds right around there. But that's a lot of money. What I just got to ask you, like, what possessed you to have that type of maturity? I don't even know.
You know, I'm not sure. I didn't have any influences that were leading me that direction, but we grew up again, poor, but also very religiously legalistic. So we did not have radio or TV in our house. Sometimes in thinking back, I'm not sure if that was an economic or a theological decision. I really don't know.
There you go.
We were poor, so we didn't have radio or TV, but I had access to the little tiny library in our town, and my parents were supportive of the library. But in there, I started finding these, Horatio Alger stories, these stories of rags to riches. Oh my gosh. I mean, they opened my mind.
It's like rocket fuel for your brain.
Absolutely. And I thought,
wow,
if these stories are really true for anybody, I have a chance. And I just nurtured.
That's interesting. Dan. Because, our mutual friend, Dan Sullivan, he, as a boy in Ohio, saw a plane go over his farmer's field and said his story is, I wonder how far I can go.
Whoa.
So, I mean, it's like so weird. You both are within, 15 years of each other. You're both in Ohio. You're both named Dan, and you both have this amazing thing inside you that's ambition. Let's talk about that for a little bit. There's people right now, Mike and Valida and Estelle, which, by the way, super quick story. Estelle, who went to Shawshank.
Oh, wow.
Just got on a TEDx and did so well, they bumped her up to TED, like the big TED. So she's the Daytonian of the week, like in Dayton, Ohio. She's the citizen of the week. So look at her.
That's awesome.
But whether it's Estelle or you, Dan, some people, I come from a church background too. They'll say, who are you to think? Who are you to think, Dan, that you could actually change your life? Who are you to think, Estelle, that you could be on a stage? Talk about that, because sometimes religion shuts down ambition because they make it almost seem like pride.
Oh, there you go. That's the exact word I was thinking about as you were talking about. That's a real dicey tension. When you start thinking you are capable, you are competent, you can find your zone of genius and do great things. Wow, that's really risky. And we know pride goeth before the fall.
Wow. So it's almost like some people see the slippery slope and say, well, Satan got prideful, and look at all these other people throughout history that got prideful. So they say, better play safe, better play small, better just milk the cow, Dan.
That's right.
Because the cow, I mean, I don't know.
And we saw people who had jobs in town as probably compromising their values.
Whoa.
Drive off and work somewhere else, a factory or whatever. No, the simpler the better. And of course, Kary, this also relates to money. I mean, we saw people who had money. Yeah, they probably took advantage of people.
Interesting. So you got to step on someone to get up to the top.
Absolutely. So again, the conclusion being the best position is to really not have any. Just survive, but don't get into that risky area of having too much money, because with that comes a whole lot of dangers and temptations to compromise.
Wow, man, this is so good. By the way, folks, if you're liking this, please share it. Please tag somebody who needs to hear this. Just the other day, Dan, I was bike riding with a guy, and he kind of grew up in the same thing that you and I grew up in, this religious holding you back thing. And he said that there was a trumpet player in his church who was amazing, but was basically shamed because it's a trumpet and it's loud. And he went over to the guy's house, and the guy apologized because he had a famous trumpet record that wasn't Christian. And he didn't want to offend the guy. So he's like, I'm really sorry, I have this in my collection. So wow. Trumpet. So Dan, I see it with David and Goliath. David's like, I can take down this dude. And his brother says, who are you? Where have you left the small sheep? Why do you think so many people shame the entrepreneur, the ambitious? I mean, like, right now there's people watching this. How do they break out? How do they break out, Dan?
Well, it's so easy to associate having more with greed, self-centeredness, materialism. But see, that's crazy. When we have more, and even the Bible tells us, to whom much is given, much is required. So we have the opportunity to do much if we have more resources.
Wow.
But a lot of people aren't willing to take that risk. There's a responsibility in doing more, having more, going more. There really is.
Interesting.
There is. And so we can avoid that responsibility by simply playing small.
Wow. So some people are literally perhaps shirking responsibility and therefore living small.
Yeah. I mean, life is pretty easy when you have nothing. Not a whole lot of decisions to be made.
And you can blame everybody else too.
That's right.
Everyone else is the problem. So let's talk about conference. First of all, for people who've never been to conference, can you give them 60 seconds? Because I know you've traveled the world, you and Joanne, and your success going to different conferences. What about Igniting Souls Conference is different than other conferences? What's kind of the distinction? What did you feel in that setting?
Well, I've been to a lot of conferences, and Joanne has been to a lot as well, just because, if it's in an interesting place, she'll go and we'll add a couple of days to it and all that. But she's not enamored with conferences.
Yeah.
Having been to Igniting Souls, when you asked me again to come back this year, and I asked Joanne, she says, oh my gosh, absolutely. Absolutely. She wants to be there, front row. Now, I know things are going to be a little different this year.
Right.
It so impacted her. And here's what impacted us. We have never been to a conference where the attendees were so nurtured and honored. Most conferences are simply information from the front of the room. Take it or leave it. You're on your own. You validate people. And we know what happens with that. So instead of just having new information dumped in their brain, they're given a little burst of, I think I can do this. The
Belief.
encouragement, the,
Yeah.
the encouragement in your Igniting Souls audience is like nothing I've ever experienced.
Wow. Wow. Well, these people are special. We even have people jumping in all the way from Australia today watching. So, Dan, give us the sneak peek, because there are so many people that are excited to hear your new talk. Tantalize us. Give us some teasers, because it's so important. And when you told me the title, I was like, yes. So, how to find your genius zone.
That's right.
Talk to us about that. What is a genius zone, and how don't give the talk away, but give us a few little things so that we can get excited about.
Well, we've done a great kind of prelude to that by talking about how easy it is just to do the right thing, to be responsible, to play small. And thus we can end up working in areas, spending our time, the greatest portion of our time, in things where we're competent. We can do it okay.
Interesting.
But chances are there's somebody else in the room who could do it equally as well. I mean, if we think about asking, gee, do you want paper or plastic? Well, you can do that with a smile on your face and be thanked for that. But there's probably a lot of other people who could step into that position pretty easily.
Totally.
But it's typical to get trapped there. We continue doing something. I had a gentleman I worked with who came in and he said he had taken a position at a bank. Now, just temporary, they just needed a teller. So it was just temporary while he kind of figured things out for his next step. That was 14 years ago.
Whoa.
Boom, like that. And people find themselves doing things that are working okay. So
Yeah.
competent in doing, they may be pretty good even, but you're not going to achieve extraordinary success in terms of what you're able to accomplish, how you're able to change the world, or what you're able to experience financially when you're just in that comfortable.
Whoa. Man, that is good. That is so good. It reminds me of the other day, I was trying to get some more life insurance. So the guy came over and, he comes to your house, he takes your blood pressure, you pee in a cup, all that stuff. And he's probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess and say 59. And I say, oh, hey, thanks for serving me today. I said, how just curious, how'd you get into this? Because I'm thinking, like, is this what he wants?
Yeah.
Or, and he says, well, after college, this was my first job.
Oh my.
And I've been here ever since. Now, he wasn't excited about it either. In fact, he kind of said it much lower excitement. But I'm just thinking, look, I'm not judging him. If he loves it, he loves it. But I think I could tell that, this is probably his 35,000th and one.
Oh my.
Who knows? But seeing a dude pee in a cup and doing blood pressure, to me, I would be, oh my gosh. That would be prison to me. That would be Shawshank for me. I don't know about you, Dan.
Well, now sometimes people think, well, if we all moved into our zone of genius, if we were all really doing something we loved that was really fulfilling and profitable and all that, then we'd have nobody asking you to pee in a cup. That's not true. That's not true. When my oldest son was 14 years old,
yeah,
we sat down.
Kevin.
Kevin, who hosts the Ziegler podcast, which 40 million downloads. A lot of people know Kevin, but I sat him down and we went through. He was already earning money. I always taught my kids how to do entrepreneurial things to earn money, and so I said, Kevin, let's look at if you took $2,000 one time and just set it aside and save that, and we looked at how it would compound, how at that current time with interest rates, it would double like every 4 years. He looked at that and he said, does anybody else know about this?
He thought it was like the biggest secret.
Yeah. I said, Kevin, this information is readily available to anybody, but most people will never do that.
Yes.
They just spend They never look into the future in that way.
Yes.
Well,
Living
and the
for
same
today.
thing is true with this.
Yeah.
We can expose the general population to this information. Everybody can see exactly how it works. We can lay out a process for them to do exactly what we're talking about. Not everybody's going to do it. People
Yeah.
are going to go back to their boring jobs tomorrow and say, well, lucky people, that's not me.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave Ramsey with his financial information, is everybody going to stop buying new cars? No. New cars are always going to sell because not everybody is going to understand and really act on the principles that are shared. This is one of those times. You can choose to do what you want, but again, I love your audience because there's so much mutual kind of accountability and support and
Yeah.
understanding. Wow, we can do this. I can do a TED talk and do a really great job like Estelle did. I mean, that's awesome. But a
Yes.
lot of the belief in being able to get you to that point comes from those who are holding your arms up when you're
Yeah.
weak, those who are cheering you on.
Yep.
That's so valuable.
Well, and I think people could hear this. I love to hear what people think of this because it is a little bit edgy. I posted some time ago, Dan, on social media. Can you love your life and hate your job? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can you love your life and hate your job? And I'll tell you what, man, wow. There was this one lady who said, oh my gosh, my dad hated his job for 37 years. Every single day, he absolutely hated it, but he came and he loved us and he provided for us. And yes, you can,
Oh
And
my gosh.
oh yeah. And I mean, it was intense, this whole social media thing. But I kind of liken it like this. Can your arm have cancer and you be healthy? Ooh. Like in other words, we're one people. I mean, we're one person. So what do you think, Dan? Can you love your life and hate your job?
No, categorically. No. I had a question that I answered in the podcast that I did for this week.
Okay.
55-year-old pastor. You'll understand this one. 55-year-old pastor. And he said, I am so burned out. There's no vision where I am.
Hmm.
We're just existing. But he said, should I, because of the extraordinary pay that they're paying me, should I just continue to do what I'm doing? Just stomach the church responsibilities. That's the exact words should I just stomach the church responsibilities and continue? I said, you need to give a 3-month notice in fairness to the church. You cannot stay there. You can't. It's a disservice to everybody. You can't serve well when you hate what you're doing.
Exactly.
You're cheating not only the people that are sitting there, you're cheating yourself. You can't do that. Don't talk yourself into doing it. There's plenty of opportunity. Will not work.
Those are fighting words with 86% of the population, because 86% of the population is dissatisfied in their current job. And listen, I know today's economy, I know people are saying, come on, Dan, Kary, you guys have it easy, whatever. But the reality is it wasn't easy. You were over 400 grand in debt at one time. And I was still am the father of 3 kids under 6. And I was that pastor, and I did leave, and it was intense, and it was, but I'm in my passion now. So Dan, give someone a practical step today. What's a practical step if they say, you know what, Dan's speaking to me today, I'm not in my zone of genius. What's one thing they could do today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great question. Great setup. Here's what happens. I'll give you kind of what normally happens. People look at, okay, here's somebody who's really killing it on Amazon because they found an opportunity there. Here's somebody who's doing this. Here's somebody who's a coach or speaker. and they look for external kind of solutions to where
Interesting.
they are by just simply thinking I can model somebody else's success. A lot of times people end up being imposters because they're doing that.
Mm,
First thing to do, look inward. 85% of the process of having the confidence of proper direction comes from looking inward. And that can lead to really unique, unusual kind of solutions.
wow.
And the lady, you've been to my place, I have that beautiful eagle carved in a cedar tree
Yes.
near my property. Well, you're not going to have a vocational guidance counselor in high school or college say, gee, you ought to be a wood carver. It's not the only way you get to that kind of place where you find that sweet spot, that beautiful blend, which we'll look at in your conference. We'll look at beautiful blend of talent, passion, and money. The only way you can get to that for you is a very individual process. That may be doing something that not a lot of other people are doing. So we don't want to look at the generalities out there. No, we want to look at
Interesting.
what is unique about you. What is it that only you can do? What
I
is
like that.
you from the pack?
That is so huge. So rather than going out and saying, I want to be like,
Yeah.
which is imposter, and it takes you away from your passion and your core, you're
Those
saying start, yeah.
stepping stones to do that. If you want to be a basketball player, sure, follow what Michael Jordan did in terms of technique and all. It can be a stepping stone, but ultimately, even with that, you're going to find your own unique ability.
Oh, that is so good. Well, we're almost at time, but here's what I'm going to challenge everyone to do. This is just the start. This is just the beginning of what Igniting Souls Conference is all about. Dan, you nailed it. You're someone who I look to as an example, as a model. Not that I can be like and copy you, but as someone who you're crushing it, man. While most of your generation is saying, take me home, Jesus. you are saying, I don't want to waste one day. In fact, you started by saying, it's a beautiful morning. You started with gratitude. Is that even part of it? Waking up and starting with gratitude, even in today's pandemic, racial division, you still finding good in gratitude.
Oh, totally. That's a real critical part. When I get out of bed in the morning, I go into my exercise room, I hit the floor, I do some yoga stretches for about 10 minutes. Then I walk to the end of my hall and all the way through our house, looking out the windows. There's usually animals kind of stirring out there and all. And I express gratitude out loud. I walk
Really?
through
Are you
every
serious?
single morning. I walk through and express gratitude. Absolutely. It sets the stage. How it's hard to complain when when something just came out of your mouth that was expressing gratitude. It changes your mindset.
That is so good, folks. There's so many good takeaways today. I'd love for you to post your biggest takeaway, whether it's look inward, don't look outward, start with gratitude. He dropped so many value benefits today. Take a listen and then act. Dan, this is one thing. We put the link below. If you can put that, Erica, ignitingsoulsconference.com. Right now, early bird deadline just for a few more weeks. Talk to us quickly, Dan, about action. Because you could have listened to this entire 30 minutes and said, yes, I agree, yes. What's the difference maker when it comes to action?
One of the things that it's a hot concept that I addressed in this new version of 48 Days is the idea of spending 15 hours a week building a side business. And we've had people who, in 90 days, using 15 hours a week, have gotten to where they're generating 50% of their current income in their regular job. Then we can see the trajectory and make a transition. Now, here's the thing. Those 15 hours have to be spent with more than just accumulated knowledge. A lot of people say they want to write a book, start a side business or whatever. So they're going to dedicate 15 hours of discretionary time to doing that. And 6 months later, they've listened to 50 podcasts. They've gone to 3 conferences. They've read 7 books and they've never generated a penny. See, they don't have a business. All they have is just kind of an elusive idea. So you have to divide your time between just accumulating knowledge where you do take action.
I love that. Consume and create. Consume and create.
So there's knowledge, understanding, application. But we have a 4-part system for those 15 hours whereby, you spend 20% of that time accumulating new knowledge and understanding, but only 20%, because the other has to be spent taking action. And if you can do that, then the cool thing about that is you can come right out of the gate. This is not a long, long process. You don't have to think, well, gee, a year from now, I'll be able to do something. No, you can start right out of the gate if you divide your time between understanding and taking action.
Wow. And Judy is doing it. She says, thank you, Kary and Dan. I'm taking
Judy
action today. I'm making major changes in my business model. The current pandemic and circumstances beyond my control have been a blessing for clarity. She's the minority compared to most of the world. Wow. Dan,
in that period of time, I know that you've had to pivot. You'd have had to change. All peaches and cream. Now everything that I'm doing has been in many ways accelerated. But the methods that we're using had to change. I was scheduled at universities to speak. Boom, that's gone. So I have to look, okay, what am I going to do to convey the message in creative ways, just like you're doing here? So these things don't stop us. There's always going to be circumstances that look like obstacles.
And just like how we started today talking about kind of this religion overtone, there's people that see what you just said and say, it must be a sign from God that I shouldn't take action. Right? I mean, haven't we seen that before where it's like, oh, it's a sign. My computer just got a virus. It's a sign I shouldn't write the book. Maybe it's a spiritual attack that you should write it, and you got to get hungrier,
Maybe you need to update your computer that you got 15 years ago.
There you go. That's right. Well, Dan, it is always a blast to chat with you. We have Brenda who says, each speaker gives clear steps to grow your business. Absolutely. I can't wait for you to speak. And we're just going to have a sweet time, even though it's experiential instead of live. Yep. We've pivoted. And we're not going to lie on the ground as victims. We're going to be victors.
That's right.
Where can people find out more about you, Dan?
Pardon?
Where can people find out more about you?
Right now we've got a really cool thing. We just developed a quiz that I'm really jazzed about. And it is to, golly, I should have created a unique link for you.
Okay. But tell us about it. Is it 48days.com?
48days.com/workyouLove20.
WorkyouLove20.
And it takes them to, you could go to a quiz. It's a 20-question quiz. It's brilliant that
I love it.
Sheila and Ashley and my team put together. And it gives you a percentage score on how close you are to the life you love.
That is good.
Yeah.
That is good.
48days.com/workyouLove20.
And you is YOU.
Yes.
YOU. Okay. Yeah. And hold up your book one more time, because I do know you're in the 20th. Wait, is it 20th or 10th?
20th.
20th.
20th. Look at that.
Anniversary. Look at that. I love it. Updated. And you even put, I love what you put in the blue there, and life.
That's new. That's new. Never been there before.
That is huge.
You recognize these things are tied together. And you, as a book publisher, this is a new case laminate.
Yes.
So no dust jacket. The millennials love it. The feedback we're getting on the style of the book is phenomenal.
Case laminate is hot.
Yes.
I love it.
So we're having a lot of fun with that.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Dan, for being here. The crowd is extremely excited to have you come back. And I can't wait to hear that talk.
Absolutely. I had delight talking with you this morning, Kary.
All right. Take care, everybody. Be a soul on fire. We'll see you.